We've just bought this Kia Optima off of an auction and it needs some repairing. Here's a quick look of the damage of the car. Again, we've bought a damage that is on the wheel. I don't know why I keep doing this, but yeah. Now, the drive shaft of this car is absolutely destroyed. Let me just show you. So what's happened is with the accident, the drive shafts actually come off. Now, this wouldn't really be a problem as you could put it on. However, these tripod joints, there's supposed to be 3. Unfortunately, 2 of them have gone missing, which means we either need to buy those alone or we could buy a completely new drive shaft. Now, there is a risk that the drive shaft is actually bent and it's only like £20 more expensive to buy the actual drive shaft itself. So luckily, we were able to find all the tools we need, including the drive shaft. And this wheel, which was actually damaged and bent, it looked like an egg. We were able to find a place that fixed it and also fixed my tire for the Volvo, but that is a whole nother video. Now that we've got our tools and everything we need, we're able to start the repair. Now obviously, this is not the best place to do a repair because there's cat shit everywhere and it's tight. But because this vehicle can't drive, we can't move this at all. And the recovery vehicles left it here. So our only solution is to fix the car and then move it back into our driveway where we'll have enough space. And we have my car with the exact same damage but on the opposite side. So me and my dad are now going to start the repair on this car. Now the first problem that we encountered is that the drive shaft bolt actually moves along with the brake disc. So all we had to do was put a pin inside the brake disc. This prevents it from rotating and allows us to only rotate the bolt without the brake disc moving along with it. So then after a bit of pressure, all we had to do was rotate it a bit more and we finally got it off. Then we just had to get rid of a few more screws, which allows us to get the suspension arm off, which gives us enough space to work with so that we can actually pull the drive shaft out. After getting the drive shaft off, you can see what I was talking about. Tripod joint is missing the joints. Then the other part of the drive shaft was stuck, so we just had to pull it out. And here's a visual representation of how it's supposed to look like with all 3 tripod joints. Clearly, it's missing a few. And a quick side-by-side of the 2 drive shafts to see if they're any different, because if it has one little difference, it's gonna cause a huge problem. Let's hope that's not the case, but let's get the new suspension arm back onto the vehicle. Now we have one major issue. Where the suspension arm's main bolt actually goes, the metal around it is bent and broken because of the damage, which means we need to hammer and adjust the metal part until it fits accordingly. So we can fix and adjust by actually putting the original bolt without the suspension arm in, just to see if it goes all the way through. And with some excessive trial and error, you can get it back in its original place. Now it's time to get the old suspension arm off and put the new one on. Let's hope there's no hidden damage behind it. So here's the old suspension arm. We can see it's quite bent, but we have a new issue. The new drive shaft, the top part of it, actually does not match with the old one, which means if we put it in, it won't work at all. As you can see, the top part goes in, but on the other side, it turns with it. It's not supposed to turn when the car's off, which means this is actually a major safety hazard, so we have to work our way around it. And our way around it was to put the old head onto the new drive shaft, because that part of the drive shaft wasn't actually bent or broken at all. So all we had to do is get the head from the old drive shaft and put it onto the new one. Now after some struggle and a lot of grease, we were finally able to get the ring around it off, which was preventing it from opening, and we got it off. Now we can finally put the old head from the old drive shaft onto the new drive shaft. suspension arm just wouldn't fit. This little metal part was really taking the piss out of us. So we had to do way more adjusting, and it even got to the point where we had to cut the suspension arm a bit just to get a perfect fitment on it. So finally, after all these adjustments, the bolt would finally go in and the suspension arm would sit in place. This means it's also finally time to get the drive shaft back into the car and get this car driving again. Now the reason we hammer the bolts into place is so that it fits perfectly and it won't move around while driving. Realistically, it's not gonna happen, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Now it's time to get the wheel back on and move it backwards. Okay, now that the vehicle is actually drivable, we can push it back into our main driveway so we actually have more space to work with. Now I may have forgotten to mention this, but it's a very tight driveway, so this one's going to be a bit tricky. Okay, now that it drives and it's finished, the only thing left is the front bumper, the wing, the wheel arch, and a new headlight. Then it should be finished. Now it's time to prep the body parts for paint and send it over to the paint booth. Now the wing did have some imperfections on it, but we were able to align it and use some filler and then paint it over to get it back as new. Now we did find and buy a red bumper, however we did need to paint that obviously because the car is white. So here's the process of the bumper being painted and the wing being painted. Now it's time to get the new fender wing thing on. Should be pretty straightforward, just the way we took it off, we gotta put it back on. There's only one annoying bolt and all you have to do is open the door for it. However, the alignment wasn't good enough, so again we had to go to hammering and adjusting to get the perfect alignment on the fender wing thing. Now that part of the car is done, it's time to move on to the side skirt and then to the bumper to finally get this car finished off. it is time to finally get the new headlights on. Now it's a pretty straightforward and easy way to put the headlights on. The only thing was getting the alignment perfect, so with a bit of adjusting while my father did that, I went ahead and hopped into the car, turned on the full beams and the hazards just to see if everything's working perfectly as it should. And luckily for us, everything was working, which means we don't need to code or program anything else, which would have been a lengthy and annoying process. And the alignment itself looked to be spot on. A little indiscrepancy on the bonnet, but don't worry, we're gonna get that painted. So far everything looks perfectly fine. I sure hope nothing goes absolutely wrong. Anyways, it's time to make a custom table where we can put the bumper on to get all the electrics on it, because there's a lot of electrics and you don't want to do that on the floor because it can scratch up the paint. Which is quite obvious. If you're gonna get a freshly painted bumper and put it on a concrete floor, it's gonna get scratched. Anyways, let's get the grill on all the electrics off the old bumper and put it onto the new one. It's very important that you grease up all the plastic parts to prevent it from breaking when you try and put it on. Next up, using a rivet gun to attach the under tray onto the actual bumper. And finally, we can put the bumper back onto the car and actually see what the car completely looks like. But first off, we need to connect all the electrics, and you can see the fog lights turning on as we do it. Alright, bye.